If you're one of the many smart people who struggle to speak English fluently, you're not alone. In fact, research shows that over 70% of highly educated non native English speakers face significant challenges when it comes to speaking English with confidence and accuracy. You've spent years studying grammar rules, memorizing vocabulary, and practicing pronunciation. But when it comes to actual conversations, you feel like a beginner all over again. You get nervous, you stumble over your words, and you worry that others will judge you for your mistakes. But here's the thing, it's not your fault. The traditional methods of learning English are often flawed, and they don't take into account the unique challenges that smart people face when trying to master a new language. For example, have you ever noticed how some language learning apps focus on memorization rather than comprehension? Or how some teachers emphasize grammar rules over conversational skills? It's like trying to learn how to drive a car by only reading the manual without ever getting behind the wheel. You need to experience the language in action to practice speaking and listening in a real world context. But that's not all. There's another reason why smart people struggle to speak English fluently. It's because they often overthink the language, trying to analyze every sentence and every word before speaking. It's like trying to solve a complex math problem in your head when all you need to do is relax and let the language flow. So, what's the solution? How can you overcome these challenges and become a fluent English speaker? I'll reveal the exact technique at the end of this video. But first, let's dive deeper into the reasons why smart people struggle to speak English fluently. One of the main reasons is that they often focus too much on perfection. They want to speak without making any mistakes, to use the correct grammar and vocabulary every time. But the truth is, native English speakers don't speak perfectly all the time. They make mistakes, they use slang and idioms, and they often prioritize clarity and conversation over grammatical accuracy. So, if you're trying to speak English like a native, you need to give yourself permission to make mistakes, to take risks, and experiment with the language. Another reason why smart people struggle to speak English fluently is that they often lack exposure to real life conversations. They might study English in a classroom or through language learning apps, but they don't get to practice speaking with native speakers or other learners. It's like trying to learn how to play a sport by only watching videos without ever playing the game yourself. You need to get out there and practice to engage with the language in a real world context. Now, let's talk about the role of motivation in language learning. Why do some people manage to stay motivated and inspired while others get discouraged and give up? It's because they have a clear vision of what they want to achieve, and they're willing to take action to get there. They don't just set goals, they create a plan and track their progress. They find language learning buddies or join online communities to stay accountable and motivated. And they celebrate their successes no matter how small they may seem. So, what can you do to stay motivated and inspired? First, you need to set clear and achievable goals. What do you want to achieve with your English skills? Do you want to improve your career prospects, travel the world, or connect with friends and family who speak English? Whatever your goal, make sure it's specific, measurable, and attainable. Then you need to create a plan and track your progress. This might involve setting aside time each day to practice speaking and listening, or finding a language learning buddy to hold you accountable. And don't forget to celebrate your successes, no matter how small they may seem. Every step forward is a step in the right direction, and it's essential to acknowledge and celebrate your progress. Now, let's talk about the importance of self compassion in language learning. Why do some people beat themselves up over mistakes, while others are kind and gentle with themselves? It's because they understand that mistakes are an inevitable part of the learning process. They know that everyone makes mistakes, even native English speakers, and they're willing to learn from those mistakes, to use them as an opportunity to grow and improve. So, how can you cultivate self compassion in your language learning journey? First, you need to acknowledge that mistakes are okay. They're a natural part of the learning process, and they don't define your worth or intelligence. Then, you need to practice kindness and gentleness with yourself. When you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up over it. Instead, laugh it off and move on. Remember that everyone makes mistakes, and it's okay not to be perfect. Now, let's talk about the role of community in language learning. Why do some people thrive in language learning communities while others prefer to learn alone? It's because they understand the value of connection and support. They know that learning a language can be a lonely and isolating experience, but it doesn't have to be. By joining a language learning community, you can connect with others who share your goals and passions. You can practice speaking and listening with native speakers, get feedback and support from peers, and stay motivated and inspired. So, how can you find a language learning community that works for you? First, you need to look for online communities or local language exchange events. There are many resources available, from social media groups to language exchange websites. Then you need to be open and willing to participate. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself, ask questions, or share your thoughts and opinions. Remember that everyone in the community is there to learn and grow, just like you. Now, let's talk about the importance of mindfulness in language learning. Why do some people stay present and focused while others get distracted and lose motivation? It's because they understand the value of being present in the moment. They know that language learning is not just about memorizing rules and vocabulary, but about experiencing the language in all its beauty and complexity. So, how can you cultivate mindfulness in your language learning journey? First, you need to focus on the present moment. Don't worry about the past or future, but instead, stay present and engaged. Then, you need to practice mindfulness techniques such as deep breathing or meditation. These can help you stay calm and focused, even in the face of challenges or setbacks. Now, let's reveal the exact technique that can help you overcome the challenges of speaking English fluently. It's called the flow technique, and it involves speaking without thinking, letting the language flow naturally and effortlessly. It's like a conversation with a friend, where you're not worried about making mistakes or using perfect grammar. You're just focused on communicating and connecting with the other person. To practice the flow technique, you need to find a language learning buddy or join a conversation exchange group. Then, you need to set aside time each day to practice speaking without worrying about mistakes or perfection. Just let the language flow and see where it takes you. Remember, the key to fluent English speaking is not perfection, but practice. It's not about memorizing rules or vocabulary, but about experiencing the language in all its beauty and complexity. So, Don't be afraid to take risks, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. With the flow technique and a willingness to practice, you can become a confident and fluent English speaker. And if this video has inspired you to take action, to start practicing and speaking English with confidence, then I invite you to watch our next video where we'll share even more tips and techniques for mastering the English language.